This is fucking Jimi Hendrix.
Hello and welcome to the Video Gamer UK podcast. As this is the end of the year, in fact, this is our last week in the office. We've got a couple of weeks off. We're going to split this week's podcast into two, and the second half will come out next week.
Aye.
Which is, what's the date? Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday is the 24th.
Yeah, Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
It's Christmas Eve.
Oh my goodness.
And we've got a bumper package of Christmas content.
Yes. Just keep saying Christmas content.
Our festive media strategy is going to be stonking.
Well, including this very podcast.
Or stoting, if you will.
I know this is audio, but you're the only one who's actually dressed in the festive spirit, Brad.
Oh yeah, you got a lovely Christmas jumper on,
Yeah.
Brad.
That's very much... So I think I've
I like
overdone
that
it.
Christmas jumper because it's
It's a bit-
toned down a bit.
Yeah,
you
the
know?
other
Yeah.
ones...
It's a bit sensible.
It's
you know?
like from
good.
behind you'd know it's Christmassy, but until he turns around, you see the reindeer on the front, you think, he's
Yeah.
actually gone all
I was
out.
just imagining the catalogue page now with Brat in it like that.
Yeah.
The thing is, the other ones that I've picked up because they light up. I don't know. I've kind of done a. I was absolutely fine with them. I really liked them when I bought two of them. That's how much I liked them.
Jesus.
They were £9 in Primark.
Yeah.
Absolutely cracking.
2.15 or something.
And like you could walk into a room, say something whimsical, and then turn the lights on, and it was hilarious. People loved it.
It was hilarious for you
And
the first time.
This is what happened, right? I saw someone else wearing the very jumper that I'd purchased, the Christmas tree one.
Yeah.
Walk into a pub, see his two mates that he hadn't seen in a little while, and then immediately did what I probably would have done in that situation.
Right.
Yeah.
And I fucking despised him. And now I'm never going to wear that jumper again, or the other one that lights up. This one is okay. It's just a reindeer.
You know when you wore the light up jumper, did you do that thing where you went home hungover, fell asleep in the jumper, but just as you was drifting off, you hit the button and you just got blinded by the lights?
No, they're not. It's not actually that comfortable to sleep in. There is actual lights in it. And
but you're drunk, so you sleep on the side of the floor.
creating this image of me being some drunken
You
Christmas jumper wearing.
Well, the story
man.
you told me about how your morning started kind of supports it, though.
Well,
How did your morning start?
He was
It's
like,
no-
I had some Ben and Jerry's last night, and I put it to the side and thought, I'll have that later. But then I fell asleep, and I've knocked the tub over in the night.
God damn it. That is exactly
You're
what
a
I
child.
said, but without that voice.
You're a child.
Anyway, I feel I haven't
I woke up,
introduced you
my
guys.
room was covered in melted fish food. Oh dear, oh dear. Just making out that you're one of the fucking Tetley guys.
Anyway, let me quickly introduce you guys.
Brad
we
doesn't
can,
talk
so
like
we can
that.
get on.
I wish he did, though.
Okay, so I am joined by a very festive Brett Bips.
Hello.
All right.
This morning. We're going to switch out for the second podcast, get some more people here, get everyone involved for this end of year thing.
You have to put up with me for a little bit.
And all he wants for Christmas is probably another fucking Ubisoft game. It's Jim Trinker.
No, not accepting that.
Because you've got all the
Because the
Ubisoft
only
games.
Ubisoft game left is The Crew.
And that's
And I
that
don't
one
want
you were
that.
right on.
Factually inaccurate. But yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Well, usually with the VideoGamer podcast, we tend to start off by talking about the games that we've been playing this week, and then, it goes off topic and we end up doing some questions. The problem is there aren't any new games to really talk about right now. Everyone's kind of stopped making them and releasing them and talking about them, which makes our job very difficult.
Having said that, Elite came out yesterday.
Oh, yeah, but you have been playing and talking about that for
Yeah.
the last...
Yeah.
5 months.
Yeah, welcome to the 21st century where a game comes out and it's already made $3 billion.
Yeah, and everyone's like, oh, right, yeah. I didn't feel like there was much fanfare for Elite's actual
I
release.
just remember the absurdity of when Minecraft was actually released.
Yeah.
And all the reviews went up. And the internet sort of simultaneously went,
What?
I've been playing that for 2 fucking years. Like,
Yeah.
what's...
Yeah.
Again, and oh god, the final release. Well, it didn't even stop then. Obviously, they've continued since with updates.
Yeah.
But like the actual release of Minecraft was when there was an end game to it, right? When the dragon was put in.
Yeah.
What? Oh, I don't get it. How is that? How is that a Minecraft final release?
Can you imagine that with
You have to hunt a dragon.
Mario? They just put Bowser in, and then that's it. That's when they actually release. But you've been playing all the levels.
Yeah, but I think it's just like with Minecraft, people have been playing that to build shitty houses and then castles and then eventually doing something.
Someone came
more
into the
creative.
office one day and he's like, so guys, I've been playing this Skyrim, yeah?
Yeah. Was that your notch? Because, I mean, it's incredibly offensive.
Of course it's not, why not? It's just like random Mojang employee.
But you saying that now, I want it to be the
Whoa.
Randy Savage dragon that was put in Minecraft instead with the Skyrim mod. Just put a Randy Savage.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you could already probably do that anyway.
Yeah,
Minecraft
actually.
is moddable as hell. But
That's true.
It is weird. And with Elite, there was people being very excited about that game. But yeah, the actual release of it was just a little bit odd.
It's quite funny now because people I'm noticing that there's a bit of a shift because, like, while it's been in early access, there was a general attitude of this game is fucking amazing, and there were people who remembered it from the past and played previous versions of it, like me when I was a kid and whatever. And there was a general sort of really positive feeling that this is a fantastic simulation of life as a white man in space.
Yep.
And that's what it is, right? And now that it's kind of hit general release and people are buying it as a video game,
After hearing like the general hype about it,
there's a bit of a disappointment creeping in, I've noticed, because I've noticed somebody saying this morning, which is perfectly valid, somebody saying this morning, well, there's not much content and stuff like that. But it's like, it depends how you look at it. Because if you define content as, the game telling you to go somewhere and do something which leads to something else, then yeah, there is no content in the game. But there is the simulation of an entire galaxy-wide spacefaring civilization. That's the content in the game, and it's just. And I understand where people's sort of, where people's gripes are coming from, but at the same time, it just seems a little bit. Do you not see? It's like it's really missing the forest for the trees, because it's like. It's the Milky Way. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's full of planets and shit. So it's going to be a bit of an interesting one, because the reviews obviously won't come out for another couple of weeks probably. Ours certainly won't.
I guess the thing is though, like, so if you don't really know that much about this, but if you're not a fan or a follower of Elite and you didn't play the original, like, your experience of what this game is before you've purchased it will probably be screenshots and trailers. Hopefully some people looked at preview content or whatever, but the people who have just seen screenshots will see these really impressive looking ships with like twin suns in the background, and it looks amazing. And then the trailers, you'll see them like warping in and like, this really epic music. And it does almost give you the impression that it's a game about spaceships fighting each other, which can happen in Elite.
It certainly can happen, yeah.
But it's also, it's hard to market a game that's like a space trucking simulation where you go around buying fish, which is totally a valid thing to do, and then selling it somewhere else. Like, how do you make a trailer out of that?
Yeah, exactly.
See, it's more difficult. Isn't it?
To market, you have to focus on the combat, and then you're kind of misrepresenting the game, because while it is a really competent dogfighter, that's not the game.
Yeah.
That's a very sort of small part of a much wider game. So it's weird. I mean, at Frontier, in their marketing of it, like the launch trailer, where you see it was like that rock soundtrack, and then opens up on that shot of people mining an asteroid, and then shit hits the fan, and lots of ships start shooting at each other. They're weaving in and out of the sort of struts on a massive space station, and there's all these capital ships, and it's like, this is incredible. But that's nothing like
right.
that. But there was that honest trailer that somebody did where they were cutting between Frontier's trailer and then cutting to footage of them sort of very slowly coming in to land on a space station and just, whistling and stuff, which sort of shows off that there's this gulf really between people's image of the game and what the game actually is. And I think No Man's Sky actually is going to have a similar problem. We were just talking about that before we started recording. Like that. Every time I read an FAQ on No Man's Sky, the questions are all things like, what are the missions like? Do you meet NPCs? And it's all like, well, no, it's not about that. It's purely about exploration.
Yeah. I think,
seeing what's out there.
And if you look at what people like, there's so much excitement around this game because it's brand new. It's doing something different. It looks gorgeous, but you look at the expectations that people have. They all seem wildly different.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's going to be anything other than just exploration, really. And there is a potential for combat in that as well, and they showed off a little bit of that.
I mean, it looks like there will be like a fair bit of combat
in the trailer, but I feel like the real draw of that game will be finding like a new planet that no one else has discovered yet, or just finding.
I think there might be a
environments.
generation gap as well, because I think there is a sort of, when they talk about like No Man's Sky or in Elite, when you go to a system, you can discover, you can be the first person to discover a star system and map the objects within it and stuff like that, and that's amazing to me. It's like, wow, that's cool. Or in No Man's Sky, you can land on a planet that literally no other player has got to.
Mm-hmm.
You're the first person in that bit of the galaxy, and you land on the planet, and there's a species of dinosaur roaming around it that again nobody's ever seen. That's incredible. But like,
you can just see a certain type of player just arriving there immediately, like swooping down into orbit, seeing going to the surface of the planet, seeing some dinosaurs, trying to shoot them,
yeah,
and then going, "Oh, this is boring. There's nothing on this planet. Let's go."
Yeah,
Where's the AK? Why can't I shoot
Which
it?
is terrifying.
That's
isn't
the
it?
thing. Like, how do I earn XP? Well, where are the NPCs to give me missions? I need things. Yeah, there is a bit. There's a bit of a gulf in understanding between, I think, what the kind of game that these guys want to make and the kind of game that people who see it want it to be.
Yeah. It will be really interesting because it's bound to do very, very well now. Like the amount of interest that game has managed to garner is incredible for a small studio with like little experience in that particular type of game.
Yeah.
These are the Joe Danger guys. Like obviously the team's expanded since then, but so I'm thrilled that it is getting the interest. I wonder if there is going to be some backlash there when people find a game that they weren't expecting.
I think there always will be. And I think, but at least it's not like the Destiny backlash where I think people were expecting like the Halo MMO, and what they got was something which was Halo shooting, but with no other substance to it whatsoever.
Yeah,
like,
that's a weird...
Elite and No Man's Sky. And Star Citizen or whatever, whenever that comes along, they all have substance. It's just it might not be the substance that people want.
I think Destiny might.
Available.
I think you might be a bit harsh on Destiny then. Destiny doesn't have the stuff that I want from a game like that, but I think it has managed to maintain a pretty enthusiastic community around like the raiding.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, but, I mean, I've certainly got less and less impressed with it over the time I spent with it. It started off thinking this is fucking incredible, and after the 20th hour, I was like, I think I'm done.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
Yeah. So basically, what this podcast is going to end up being, I think, is rather than just focusing on the games that we've been playing this week, we're going to have a look back at the year as a whole and talk about some of our favourite bits or the most interesting bits. I don't know. You might have some bad memories.
Stuff that we liked from the year.
It's a weird one because it's kind of hard not to think about this year with some pretty negative tones. Like for the gaming industry as a whole, there's been some pretty shitty stuff going on, and it's hard to look past that. But
it's weird because, on a grand scale, it's been a bit of an iffy year. Lots of dodgy stuff has happened, and obviously there's that thing that everyone's been focused on for the last few months. But on a personal level, this has pretty much been the best year of my life. So,
it's strange.
Yeah,
swings and roundabouts.
Yeah,
gaming industry might be imploding, but Jim's had a nice year. That's fine. So let's kick it off. Brett, what are some of your kind of like highlights from 2014? What stood out to you as
dare you to start off with
Gamergate?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to say it.
It's approximately 7:30 a.m. on January the 24th.
I was just thinking.
Very nicely cooked bacon sandwich.
I can't remember anything from January. Really struggling.
I love that every time the impression comes up, Jim perfectly does a spoof of you, but for me, he's quite spot on.
Perfectly. Oh right.
It's quite spot on, and it's a Del Boy impression. It works really well.
Yeah.
But yeah. First thing that I thought of when we started looking back was that Nidhogg tournament that we did right at the start of the year.
Yeah,
so good.
I've maybe like I've got a terrible memory anyway. Like I can think about things happening in December. But like,
your loss is that what you're trying to black out?
Yeah, that tournament went badly. But this year, just in terms of, it had a real nice revival, if that's the right word, of local multiplayer games.
Yeah.
Or at least they became more they got more attention from the mainstream, I feel. So games like Nidhogg, games like Gang Beasts.
I was just thinking Gang Beasts
Towerfall
as well.
Ascension.
Yeah.
Speedrunners. There's been
Remember
some
that
really
Gang
fucking
Beast
cool.
versus we did?
Yeah, that was so
Fucking- I
good.
love that. So that filming
good.
that was
yeah,
so
it was
fun.
such good fun.
So that's going to be a strange one as well. We were talking earlier about how games are released in early access and then they have this final release and it's almost a bit underwhelming. Gang Beasts has gone into early access and by all accounts it's doing very well and it's been picked up by Double Fine and all that stuff. But the real buzz around Gang Beasts happened before the game actually went on sale. It was before it was even in early access.
Yeah, it was a free version, wasn't it?
Was just they were just like, look at this thing that we're working on.
Yeah.
And I think, it's worked out well for them because now people know who those guys are and, a lot of people are talking about the game. But it was weird to have like so much buzz with just kind of a proof of concept mode.
It was great though. I mean, what a proof of concept! It was,
Yeah.
it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And I think those the sort of sorry about this. Hang on.
It's Jim doing a line of coke there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Just topping up.
the big sort of giant jelly baby characters that and I think they were just meant to be placeholders.
Yeah.
So, the actual game will have proper characters.
It's like a load of morphs.
And it's got to the point where people love those giant jelly baby things so much that's
I think there's going to be some customization of them, but I don't. Yeah, so if you actually remember the Gang Beasts main menu had all these like different
Crazy
ideas in the
animation.
background.
Yeah.
And those, I think, originally that is what they envisioned Gang Beasts looking like, those characters. But the jelly babies it was so ludicrous to watch them like grapple with each other and, like the physics.
Like we were just hanging on for dear life, like on the side or through a plank and stuff like that.
There was something so adorable about them, so endearing about them. It was like, I think it might have been you, Brett, who made the point at the time that it was like watching sort of like small children, like brothers and sisters fighting, like when the wrestling's on or something.
Yeah.
That is exactly what.
And you
it is.
emulate that as well when you're playing it. Like I'm a bit childish when I'm playing multiplayer games anyway. But like you become a kid scrapping with your brother and shouting like shitty insults at each other.
When you've got the button to make you after you punch someone, you can press the buttons to make you put your hands up like that and cry. It doesn't really work on the podcast. But,
but looking back on my highlights for the year, I realised that working in an office, you do realise that those multiplayer games where you used to think, I look forward to playing that when my friends come around. With us, when you think, it looks good, let's jump in and let's all have a go of it. Like there was the Nidhogg game, and there was like Mario Kart 8 when that came up. We all thought, well, let's all jump on that.
It is weird, isn't it? Like it's been. I found that I've played those games more in the office than outside of it.
Yeah.
Just with Gang Beasts for a moment, like So the first time I saw it was at the EGX show in Birmingham.
Res.
Right.
And they had one tiny like unit there. They had a PC like in one of the corners of the expo with like 4 pads or whatever. And there was just this huge fucking crowd around it. Like if you can get a setup, it's such a crowd pleasing thing.
All of those games, if you can get like a set of those games and go through different tournaments, because they. Like even like Gang Beasts works because it's 4 player, but even Nidhogg, where it's 2 players only, but the tournaments work so well because the games are so quick. Like they all work really well when you've got a bunch of friends. Like say, have the game on in the corner, people just go back and forth to it. They all work so well for that sort of setup, and they're really good fun. And you realise you forget how loud you're being. It's one of those games where like when you was a kid and your friends come round and then you're playing it, and suddenly your mum or your dad will just knock on the door and go, "Shut up! What are you doing?" And I'm actually just screaming while playing this game. You don't even remember. Actually, that happens to me now.
You
like
totally lose yourself, don't you? You're just completely lost in the joy of it.
Yeah.
Do you think it's fair to say that has been like a revival this year of that particular kind of game? Cause
absolutely.
I've certainly played more of them over the course of the year. Like the other day, yesterday even, we was playing that Chaos Reborn.
Great.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, and I screamed at the top of my lungs when Brett has beat me, even though he had nothing on the board. And he beat me, and the guys heard me at the other side of the office.
A little bit. I'm just tapping my head.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about the noise that I let out. I just screamed no, as if I denied the fact that what just happened. And I was so angry about it.
I think with the local multiplayer stuff, like so YouTube gets a bit of stick for the games that it promotes, and I think we'll get into that in a sec. The games like Goat Simulator and the Octodads, these games that are funny to watch and not necessarily as fun when you play them. I think YouTube has done a brilliant job of promoting local multiplayer games and having people actually go out and buy them and try and get their friends to do the same thing. Because it's that I imagine they're very difficult games to sell to start off with, unless you get that kind of hype around it.
Yeah.
Selling a game where you can't play, like there's a Nidhogg single player, and it's like it just nothing to
work.
it. It's not like the AI is really basic. It's not very fun to play. Like if that's how you had to promote that game, or if that's how you had to sell it, it's so difficult.
There's been some great examples of local multiplayer, like Towerfall. That was brilliant. Even like more commercial stuff like Toy Box Turbos.
Oh god, yeah.
Like when that came in, no disrespect to Codemasters, but I'm pretty sure most of us probably thought, all right, fair enough. There wasn't much excitement about it, and then we played it, and it was like, shit, this is really fun.
Yeah.
Like,
look at Burns on the video. Look at Burns. He started miserable. He tried being miserable all through. And at the end of it, he thought, actually, that was really good.
And I like
you can
YouTube.
see the facade drop with Burns if you look at it carefully during that video.
YouTube can show that off really well. Like, I think that's one of its biggest strengths, showing like how fun multiplayer can be. Is one of the things that I feel alright about. Like I feel that's a good use of YouTube.
Yeah, because I wrote an article like in the summer about how YouTube games are sort of becoming a genre of their own. Like we were saying, there are certain games that are more fun to watch than they are to play on your own. Like
let's go through some of the ones this year. Like
Surgeon Simulator being one of them.
They ended up doing Iron Bread. Bossa Studios.
Iron Bread
just being released in early access.
You said Goat Simulator was a big one.
Octodad. What else was there? The Octodad went on to the PS4 as well.
Those three are mainly single player as well. You can play Surgeon Simulator like 2-player where one person does
same with Octodad, but I feel like they're predominantly single player games.
Yeah.
They're games that you get frustrated whilst playing. Less so with Goat Simulator. Goat Simulator is more internet humour, I guess.
Yeah.
Christmas Shopper Simulator.
That
one's just not fun to.
I don't think YouTube did a very good job.
It's fun to play or watch or know that it exists.
And also on top of that, a lot of the just games that have simulation in the title, or simulator in the title.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of those ones that are
Driver.
very funny to watch. Some of them, the kind of broken messes of games, and
it's actually had a bit of a detrimental effect on actual genuine, like legit simulators as well. Because I remember I did a video a while back about the simulator scourge. I called it in a sort of moment of melodrama. And the video was kind of half serious and half like almost like a parody of the YouTube Angry Man or whatever. But one of the games, and I only mentioned it because I started off the video by doing a search on Steam for the word simulator. I think it was in the in Greenlight, and looking at all the shite that comes up, and it's a lot of shite. And I just read off in the video like the first couple of entries. And I only said tabletop simulator. I didn't feature it in the video. I only said the name of it. And all of a sudden there's this Reddit thread, like proper having a go at me for daring to besmirch the name.
What is that? Is it
Tabletop Simulator, which is actually like a proper legit simulator of tabletop games, like in a physics-based way. So you can actually play good tabletop games in a way that doesn't simulate them at the sort of numbers level. It actually simulates them on a physical level, so you can actually get a sense of playing them online. That's the problem, though, isn't
it? Like it's because they're even how the logos are often created or the marketing behind them. They all look so similar.
So the spoof stuff is so so ubiquitous. The real stuff gets sort of caught up in it.
I know that a lot of people have really been surprised by like the Euro Truck simulators. Have been actually like blown away by them. It's not. I don't get how. I still struggle to understand how you could fall into that. But people have really really enjoyed some of these simulator games. Some of them really have done their topics justice.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of them are just half-hearted, or worse, have just been created so that certain the big YouTubers will play them and get angry about them.
Yeah.
And it's a really weird culture. It's kind of a weird side effect of how big certain
it's become a sort of
YouTube entertainers
extension to the kind of the trope of the angry gamer on YouTube, isn't it? the angry video game nerd, the irate gamer. Fuck that guy.
Don't put the angry video game nerd in that topic. Like he actually does do some
to be fair to him, he's actually quite a smart critic as well.
Is actually a person? Or are you talking about the stereotype? Is there someone called the angry video game nerd?
Yeah, he looks back at
angry video game nerd. He's
actually a person.
Yeah.
Right.
So he was kind of one of the originals, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Really. I mean, many sort of mimics have popped up over the years.
Oh, okay.
He's like a guy called James Rolfe, and he's actually, to be fair to him, he's actually
part historian, part entertainer. Like,
there is, and like he. I mean, I'm not like the hugest fan of his stuff, but he is actually like quite a skilled critic and everything. To be fair, and he knows his shit. Most his videos usually end with him getting angry with a Nintendo game or whatever. And I remember one where he puts it into a plastic bag and then shits into the plastic bag and sets it on.
That would be right up your street.
I love that, but but it's sort of this whole. But he started off doing that kind of crass thing. Which, because he was like pretty much the only prominent one doing it, it was quite.
I feel like some people have just taken the angry part of it.
Some people have taken that and they haven't got the nuance.
And they didn't take the rest.
There was a Canadian guy who popped up not long after, called himself the Irate Gamer, which is just a shit name, and basically did exactly the same shit. Even borrowed some of the catchphrases and things. And then it kind of snowballed from there. And now there's on YouTube, there's about 50 million fucking
angry people,
video game boys or whatever.
I get I understand that some of our video stuff we get a little bit of flack for maybe being overly cynical sometimes, and sometimes maybe that is true. I don't like the focus on the word angry. I don't like intentionally going into video games to be angry. Like we
feigned anger is just limp, isn't it?
This is something we discovered going back to what we were talking about before. If you search for I Am Bread on YouTube, and it's the new Bossa Studios game. You control a piece of bread. It's supposed to be quite frustrating to play because of the controls. Like half of the search results have the word rage in them. Because there's a lot of people who want to watch that. People want to watch people getting angry, even if it's not authentic. Because that's fun, and
every thumbnail has like a background of flame with the guys in the video pulling the angry face, as ours does, but knowingly.
That's been a weird thing to kind of keep. But YouTube's is going in so many
ways. It's amazing how much YouTube has changed the landscape. Like,
so influential.
Even seen it with my kids. Like my kids are now they're obsessed with Minecraft. They're my bigger kids, not the baby, but my bigger kids, 4 and 8.
You haven't given them names.
Your kids called 4 and 8.
Evie and Mia. And the last couple of weeks I've been coming home every night, and they've been playing Minecraft. And building stuff. Like they're working on this hotel at the moment made of glowstone, and it's fucking incredible.
They're playing in the same world as well.
That's
really cool.
They've got a joint world, and they've like one of them's built a hospital, one of them's built a hotel. They built a science lab. They're watching videos by this guy called Mr. Stampy Longcat on YouTube.
I don't know it.
And he's like he's a Minecraft Let's Player. Gangbusters. Like his videos get like easily like 6 million views. And I first became aware of him when he was on a CBeebies show presented by Dick and Dom, where they met him, and it was like if you cast your mind back 20 years and they have like David Bowie on fucking Blue Peter or something. It was that huge. It was like, we've got fucking Stampy Cat here. It's like these guys who literally are television presenters, and they're like,
it's like getting KSI on the X Factor.
We've got a fucking YouTube man here. Yeah, exactly. And it's like that really demonstrated the shift to me. So my kids, they watch Stampy Cat videos, they get ideas from it, and they learn how to do things.
Jesus,
I can't get mad about that. That sounds a little ace.
That's incredible. I'm actually really chuffed about it that they've got into it.
But you saying how good like your kids are at Minecraft, it always blows me away. Whenever I see my family in that, and I see my younger cousins, like they're no older than 2 or 3, and I watch them play Temple Run. It's ridiculous. They go into a different world. They zone out. You try and engage with them while they're on the phone playing Temple Run. You're getting nothing from them. And you watch them, and they just like swipe. The reaction times are ridiculous.
God, this has turned into the old man podcast, hasn't it?
It is, yeah.
These kids and their video games.
No,
these
but
days.
we're not like.
Yeah.
I think we're all pretty positive.
No one believes me when I tell them I was really good at Mario when I was a kid, like at their age. But then I watch them play Temple and I think, no one could have been, that good when they were kids. When you look back, you think, I used to play Mario when I was their age. You think, oh, you'd never be able to play Mario now, but I couldn't do Temple Run at their age.
Mate, I was fucking well good at Nightfire. You should have seen me.
Nightfire.
There seems to be a big movement of like Nightfire is the best James Bond game.
I think it's people that are around the age of Brett and I, but I think
it's like the golden age generation or
Brett's like a generation before me.
Yeah, I do.
I don't know how it happened.
It's because my uncle played all the old games, and I got them from. I was like an inheritance thing. I got them from him.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it was one of those.
But yeah, I fell into Nightfire instead and think it's really good and don't like the people get angry.
I really like Nightfire as well.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Problem is we can never go back because then the nostalgia is gone.
Well, and I would probably get a lot of shit for this, but Nightfire was probably my favourite game I had in the GameCube.
Yeah, I think it's fair enough. The multiplayer in particular, like I think the campaign is all right, but I'm talking the multiplayer. That the snow-based level with the cable car between the two kind of buildings, brilliant. One of the best multiplayer maps I remember. But yeah, okay. We've gone slightly off topic from looking back at 2014.
We've gone way back
in like 2000. Okay, it's fine.
Yep.
Right, Jim. Something that you liked from this year. What's been good for you?
I have to say mine are a lot more boring than Brett's.
Yeah. Well, you're much more boring than Brett, so this is going to work out well.
Right. Okay. I've written a few down. The first thing though that came to mind when you asked me was right. Going to the review thing for Shadow of Mordor, knowing roughly that it's sort of Assassin's Creed in the Lord of the Rings universe.
Sure, we'd seen the trailer for it. It had very similar animations.
Yeah, and it was very sort of like, it felt like it was going to be a bit of a mediocre action game, and it looked like this is a 6, probably a 7.
So it was a licensed game,
and, licensed game, and you're like, all right, fair enough. And then went and sat down first 2 hours with the game, and obviously beforehand the people, the developers, whatever, demo the kind of systems of the game, particularly the Nemesis system. And it was just like one of my favorite moments of 2014 is realizing that the Nemesis system is a fucking big deal. And it took that game, which was, as I say, probably like a solid 7. It took that game and it really elevated it. Took what was a pretty standard, I wouldn't say mediocre because I think that's a bit unfair, but a pretty sort of, going through the motions action game, and elevated it to a point where it's like, this is doing something really new. Yeah. Something that's destined to be copied. Like, I bet by 2016 there'll be about 20 Nemesis systems showing up in various different types of games.
I'd love a Batman game to do it, and it's Warner Bros. I'd love to see a Batman game.
Totally work.
Really well.
Like Shadow of Mordor is arguably one of the biggest surprises of the year. Just because
absolutely.
I think I know one person that kind of saw it coming. That is like now really fucking smug about it. He's like, oh yeah, I knew. I was telling everyone that Shadow of Mordor was going to be good. No one was listening. But yeah, most people went into that. Just I was very much the same. Yeah. Right.
Totally on the fence. Just it's just going to pass us by.
I just saw it, like I could see the meeting room where they were like, right, so it's Assassin's Creed, right, and then Lord of the Rings, and then doing this with the hands.
Yeah, bringing locking fingers.
Podcast, but I'm locking my fingers. Yeah. But it's not. It's the Nemesis system is honestly a huge step forwards, and that's real.
Really good.
It's a game that borrows, apart from the sort of that system. It's a game that pretty much borrows everything it has. Like even like obviously the setting, the combat is very Assassin's Creed, very Batman. It's sort of like a mix of the two. The stealth stuff is pretty much Assassin's Creed. Yeah,
and the actual close combat once you've been discovered is pretty much Batman Arkham, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's just. I mean, but it takes all those really good elements, blends them all together really well, and then it makes you care about those those generals in the Nemesis system. They're all unique to your game largely. You defeat them, and then or they defeat you, and then when you encounter them again, they've got something to say about it. I mean, that's a huge moment. The first time somebody who you've had a battle with previously comes into the battlefield and it's like, he says something ridiculous like, you beat me up once or whatever, so I'm going to beat you up. They're a bit wittier than that, but
not much.
I don't like bees.
Yeah. That kind of thing, yeah. So, even little details of it as well, like if you kill someone by shooting them through the head with an arrow, sometimes apparently orcs have a really good health system.
Yeah.
Sometimes they come
Some
back.
they're just immune to headshots, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's weird, like you shoot them in the head, you've defeated them, they're on the ground, and there's always a bit of, they might be dead, they might not, they might come back. And when they do come back, they have like, I remember the first time I'd done it, the guy came back after I'd shot him through the eye with an arrow, and like one side of his head was all like a big metal plate encasing the arrow, which was obviously still in his head and stuff.
Fuck.
And he was really upset about that.
I can imagine.
What did you think?
Like, and he was like, and he said something about, I'm going to take an arrow, I'm going to shove it up your arse.
I can just see, like in Jim's mind as that happened, the moment the word arse ended that sentence, he's just like, give me the. That's it.
Yeah.
Ding.
Do you know what I love about it though?
That would have been my game of the year if it wasn't for your Inquisition.
You genuinely get the fear when that happens, because the music that gets the orchestra that plays when they're especially the generals when they walk, and it's the singers, it's like the choir when they sing the general's name as they're walking in.
Yeah.
It's so fucking brilliant. And this is the only game this year like Far Cry does it really well, where you genuinely care about the enemy. Like the main bad guy, you think, right, I'm going to get him, and I'm going to. You
shove an arrow up his arse.
Yeah. But Shadow of Mordor is the only game where you care about the intricacies of the enemies that you're fighting, how they relate to each other. Like no other game. Every game you think, one bad guy, as long as I keep going right or I keep going forward, I'm going towards him or her. Whereas Shadow of Mordor, you think, right, well, hang on a minute, that guy's at the top of the ladder, whereas if I get him to fight him, that way I'll move those two across. If I mind control that one, that way he'll go after him. You'll never really... You think, hey, if I go around these lot, that way when I do fight him, he'll be severely underpowered, and therefore I don't have to kill him. I can just control him and then set him off against the next guy.
Yeah, it's
incredible.
It's like a chessboard. It's so good.
It's you find yourself when you realise, like, I am actually in the landscape and I am affecting the political nature of this land.
Yeah.
Like, what I'm doing is changing literally the balance of power. It's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Also as well, when when you do the intel and you've got all the stats and everything and what their weaknesses are, and there's always one bastard who's like, weakness is nothing, strength's everything. You're like, oh shit, I don't want to encounter him. So you start taking out his bodyguards and stuff, and you're doing your thing with somebody else, going after some low level targets, and that one you've been avoiding walks into the battlefield, and you actually shit your pants.
Because by that stage, I imagine you've kind of glorified him. Like he's like this.
Yeah, he's become. You've made him the boogeyman in your head. It happened a couple of times when I played through it, and it was like. That moment when they walk on and they haven't encountered you before, but they've heard about you because you've been taking out all his mates, and he's just like, they'll come out and say something like, I've been waiting to tussle with you,
and they genuinely walk in like a firm because they bring 3 of their mates with them, and they walk. It's like something out of Football Factory or Green Street where they walk in slow motion. They got all their mates. I've heard Shadow of Mordor. All their mates behind them, and they're in slow motion, like a Baywatch bit. Like not the sexy though, obviously, because they're orcs.
Well, I mean, depends what you're into.
Like it's not the Hoff. Like he's going walking through, and it's really slow motion, and you think, where's my exit? You look around and you're surrounded by all the orcs you're fighting at the minute, and there's no way out. And you know that bit where you nearly die and you've got to try and move the button into the and press it at the right time. And I always got killed by, what was the dog creatures called? They were a nightmare.
Caragors.
Oh, they were a nightmare as well. And as soon as one of those walked in, you thought, fuck, this is it now as well. There was definitely no way of getting out because they're so quick. If you could try and set them off against the pack as well, because that was one of the best bits, is when you could thin the herd without even engaging in the battle as well. Like you open the Caragor cages, they all go in, and there's just the general or the chief left. You think, I was going, I'll take you out, you don't even have to see me, and you leave. Such a good game. So glad that worked
incredible.
Out.
Like I will happily play through that again. In fact, I think I will pretty soon, because just talking about it now, I just remembering exactly how much I loved it. It's absolutely incredible game. That was a lovely surprise, I think.
Probably, and the voice acting, it was really good as well. When you grab someone, by and the ghost character takes over. It was so over the top, but it was exactly what it needed to be. Right, he's like, swear to me.
Yeah.
It's so good.
You see the terror on the orc's face.
Yeah,
take over their mind as well. That game was something. That game was incredible. So, second one I've written down, going back to Elite. So we probably don't need to talk about it that much, but and I've written about it as well on the site. But just playing a new Elite game. Like after 20 years, since Frontier, I never played the third one. Not many people did. It was very buggy and horrid. But I was obsessed with Frontier Elite 2 as a child, and having all that come back with Elite Dangerous was pretty special. The first time you dock at a space station. I mean, Elite is all about. In some respects, it's all about these little mundane moments that are actually only sort of incredible when you think about them.
Like as you enter the station, it tells you which docking bay to go towards. And
it just weird stuff like that, like
sort of real.
And the scale of it, you're like you're being told essentially all you're doing is finding a parking space, right? But but because the context is, but you're doing it in a spaceship, and this is a massive spaceport, and it's just like you never got to see the interiors of space stations really before, because you would get into the little docking square, which used to be a chore in itself, and then the space station was just a menu, right? And it still kind of is, but you've got that interior, you've got a bit more sort of sense of
bit more flavor
scale,
of it,
but I think maybe perhaps docking in a starport in Elite 4 for the first time, and having all those memories come back.
That's awesome.
It's just incredible.
Can someone nick your space? Like in a traditional car park. Say you're going towards
you'll
the
get docking fines for doing
that.
that.
I was thinking.
You'll either get docking fines or the ship's internal guns will all target you.
Yeah.
I feel like
you're just reversing in. I don't know how spaceships are. I'm really stupid. But you're reversing into your space, and then someone just comes in and just turns straight into your dock.
All right.
Don't mind me. Christmas shopping. Last minute. Sorry.
There's something we found out the other day, which I think is really awesome. So we did, I remember when Jim first got into Elite, he was all excitable, so we thought we better do some video stuff with it. And at one point, we were just leaving a station, and Jim's really bad at flying. Honestly, he's awful. And he almost hit someone. And I remember, I think I had a little go at you in the video, saying how irresponsible you were being or something like that. Yeah. Then we found out, this week, that the person flying towards us that he almost hit had also done a YouTube video.
Really?
Yeah, because
there was a comment that came up, and I'm not too sure about the authenticity of it. I don't know, but it does look like at the moment in our video when we're coming out of the space station, you can go to the corresponding moment in this other video and see us coming out and almost hitting the guy from the other side.
Oh, really? You're going to go back to your game, and you're going to see your ship's being keyed. Because he's nearly hitting his. He's going to make a massive key scrape across the side.
It's great,
Stanley life in the tires and shit.
I do. We had a little bit of a dig at YouTube earlier, but it's great for that kind of stuff. I love that, how easy it is to share your experiences with other people and find them. And obviously the new consoles have started to add to that as well. Like the PlayStation 4 being able to share stuff.
Sharing stuff. I never got into that until recently, but it is really nice. You see something, you think, that's nice. I don't put it on YouTube because I don't have I put it on Facebook and stuff. There was a moment recently I was playing Far Cry 4 and we were talking about Grand Theft Auto and that recently, and I've never normally do the bastard stuff, but there was a couple of sea turtles and I just put a grenade beneath them and just watch them both go in opposite directions. And I thought, I've got to put that on somewhere. Someone needs to see that.
It's become more important than I thought it would be, to be honest, as well. It is so nice to be able to just go, oh yeah, that's really cool. I want to show Jim what I just did to this fucking sea turtle.
That sounds so much worse the way you put it.
It's fine. Don't think about it too much. But yeah, that's
don't worry about it.
I think
seen lots of people get into streaming as well who wouldn't necessarily have done it before, because it would have been a bit of a bollock to do that before.
Yeah,
because it's all built into the console. You've seen a lot more of that stuff happen. That's
can you imagine trying to set up a stream before? Obviously you guys do it, but for anyone at home, all the shit they need to get in before just pressing a button now.
Oh yeah, totally.
Sound like old men again. Jesus.
I wouldn't have had the equipment to do it.
But that is these are some of the major ways that gaming is changing. The ease in which you can create video stuff or streaming straight away. Even if even if you're just doing it to show, like, just so you can chat with your friends whilst you're playing it, which is totally a thing you can do.
It's great that it's become much more of a shared experience, but in a way that multiplayer itself doesn't really allow for.
You've seen that Steam has introduced its own little version of this where you can stream and people like you can limit it to people on your friends list so they can watch whilst you're playing.
That's quite cool.
They're not trying to compete with Twitch. It's not going to be something that you can monetize, and I think there's some kind of rules on exactly what you can use on there, but it's that kind of idea. That is where a lot of this stuff's going.
Yeah, that's quite cool.
It's nice. It's just nice. One of the highlights for me this year was actually playing some of the games that, remember the Kickstarter craze back in 2012 when that was a thing that everyone was excited about before we eventually reached that point, maybe last year or early this year, where people have just almost got tired of Kickstarter campaigns.
They've run out of money. Spend it all on the first two.
And like when Kickstarter first really started building momentum, the big examples very easily got coverage from the media, and you'd see a lot of people talking about it. It feels like that's becoming much more of a struggle now. But back in 2012, it was a thing that you could totally do, and in fact, you'd like a couple of the games that I've played this year that have finally been released, like the Banner Saga back in January. I can't remember January. Asked for $100,000, right? A lot of money, and it's a gorgeous looking game. But if I can see that trying to get funded today and reaching that $100,000 mark might even be a challenge. They ended up on $720,000.
They blew it out of the water. They blew their figures out the water, didn't they?
Yeah, and the other one that was that was released finally in January this year. Xenonauts came out towards the middle of the year, and that I think did 3 times its original Kickstarter kind of goal. And yeah, it's been nice to actually play those games and like finally, it's been a couple of years, but 2 of my favourite games of this year.
Banner Saga, I started playing that recently when you started talking about it, and it's really good.
Part of the, I don't really know what all the stretch goals were. I'm sure it's the Kickstarter page looks quite detailed. I'm sure you can find out exactly where various chunks of that money went. But some of it, at least, has gone to... There's definitely going to be a sequel coming that was announced this month.
Cool.
That's awesome.
It's been localized with various languages. I think there's an Icelandic version, which is really cool.
Oh, nice.
And it's come to a bunch of different platforms, so you can play it on iOS now.
Yeah.
At least iPad, maybe not phones. But yeah, those...
I might get that on iPad.
The Banner Saga and Xenonauts both would have really struggled without crowdfunding.
Yeah.
And it's been nice to see them come out and become 2 of my favourite games of the year. Like Xenonauts, if you don't know it, is a reimagining of the first XCOM, the original XCOM, The Enemy Unknown. And yeah, it's been really good. That was a game that I never played. I just, I didn't have the system for it then, and probably didn't have the patience for it either. I was quite young. But it's like a slightly prettier version, slightly less fiddly version of that original game, but still very true to what that original was, which is great to be able to play now.
Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Chaos Reborn as well.
Chaos Reborn
didn't smash its Kickstarter target.
That was much later, wasn't it?
Much later on, yeah. But again, another like great thing that's come out. And as well, like all 3 of us sitting in this room have got into Chaos Reborn.
Yeah.
And we've been playing it on lunch breaks and stuff. And
sometimes past the lunch
if
breaks.
you can get on that.
So that's a weird crossover, isn't it? Because Chaos Reborn is from Julian Gollop, the guy that made that original XCOM, and he did beat his Kickstarter goal, but not by a huge amount. Yet someone doing a reimagining of his own game got 3 times its amount. I wonder, you know what, if Julian Gollop had been one of the first Kickstarter projects and people were throwing that name around. That guy should be more of a celebrity, by the way. I don't like that Peter Molyneux gets all the fucking love for being, when he's working on a game, it's Peter Molyneux's game, and everyone eventually gets a bit disappointed about that. But is excited that it's Peter Molyneux and he talks really well about these things, and he kind of builds up that hype.
I was about to say, but Peter Molyneux is very front-facing, isn't he? Whereas Gollop, does he speak a lot?
He did actually for the Kickstarter video, but I think he's more of a reserved guy.
I was about to say, Molyneux's always at events. He's always talking.
People should hear that Julian Gollop
Molyneux is this sort of real. Molyneux is that really rare breed of rockstar game dev, though, isn't he? I said this about Bithell the other day. I referred to Bithell as a Rockstar game dev, and someone in the room was immediately like, "What did he work in Grand Theft Auto?" And I was like, "For fuck's sake, no!"
But I'm telling you, Julian Gollop deserves to be a Rockstar or a Rockstar game dev. Either
that game, like you say, is very early and it's been released in early access. You said it made its Kickstarter goal, but not by much. And the game at the minute looks very polished.
Yep.
You know, and it's not due out for another 6-7 months.
That is also a reimagining, I guess, because the original Chaos was a 1985 game on the Spectrum, and it's the exact same mechanics, except now it's got kind of a free element, and it looks really nice. You should totally go back and there's a free version you can play of Chaos Reborn.
Oh, really?
Which is it's like. It's you know how all the units in that game have very standout colours.
Didn't you do something for the weekend?
Yeah, that's right. And you can still play it, by the way, if you're not if you just want to see what the mechanics are like. It's basically they're just like the very basic models, just as those colours with no real detail. The maps don't have much going on, and so like the core idea is there, but it certainly helps that there's something nice to look at while you're playing it.
It's like when I tried playing, like after I previewed Civ Beyond Earth. I went back and I tried playing Alpha Centauri, and like looking at that map, it's so hard to decipher what's on it because it's so flat and the colours is horrible. Again, of the time it was probably really nice, but going to play it now, you're like, I can't even see what I'm doing.
The games have got quite pretty. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but it's sort of happened. But yeah, so the kind of it's been nice. There've been some Kickstarter examples that haven't been disappointing because you know it's always a risk, and I feel like the kind of enthusiasm for that type of crowdfunding in general has started to. It's definitely past its peak. Yeah. So it's nice to have free, good, strong.
I remember
strategy games. They're all strategy games, by the way.
Yeah.
My bad.
I remember. I think it might be last year or the year before. Rob Fahey gave a talk for the Edinburgh Interactive thing. I think touched on crowdfunding and said that he thinks that pretty soon there's going to be a Kickstarter reckoning when some of the returns from these campaigns are going to start coming in and start really disappointing people, and that's when the bubble's going to burst on it, really. And that's pretty much happened. I mean, Broken Age was. I mean, I think Broken Age is a beautiful game, but
so that received,
Broken Age disappointed a lot of people.
Yeah, I feel like that was one of the real early kind of blowaway.
And that was the one that really kicked it off for gaming.
Yeah,
really,
and I think
thing.
That maybe the disappointment started to creep in because they ended up asking for another stretch goal quite a bit after. Split the game into two parts.
They asked for more money after getting what? I mean, what was it? 10 times what they were asking for?
Like 350,000. I think that's when they got something like 3.5 million, 4 million.
And people were sort of saying quite reasonably saying, but if you'd only made your initial
what would the game be?
What the hell have you done? I mean, obviously when you think about it, you know, projects expand to fill their resources, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, but that's
so
just human nature,
with the Banner Saga, by the way, I said I maybe was a little bit harsh when I said that I'm not too sure what all the stretch goals were. Like originally, the Banner Saga was going to be made by a 3-man team. Like it's Stoic is like significantly bigger than that now,
right.
So it's as you say, if these larger goals appear, then they kind of react to that. It's just sometimes a little bit vague and a little bit hard to grasp. And I think, you know what, I actually probably don't think Broken Age is as bad as it sounds. I'm sure, like, that is a very large team and a very expensive team to run. Yeah. I'm sure that money was, necessary. It's just
it is a lovely game.
It's just when you look at it from an outside point of view, without understanding how much games cost, it looks a bit weird, and it suddenly makes you start questioning the model. Which, And
when they release part 1 and then start, asking money for. Well, sort of
it was like
say that they need more
it?
money to make the second part, and it's sort of the death knell of the whole crowdfunding game, really, almost, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, like, that probably was the moment where some of the enthusiasm started to disappear, and also as you said earlier, Brett, people, there's only so much kind of spare, income that people are going to be able to put towards crowdfunded things, particularly because it's not just buying a game; it's a totally different concept.
It's weird. I know people who have a direct debit going out to 6 Patreons a month and stuff, and it's just like
there's a cap there, isn't there? There is a cap because, like,
I mean,
if if 10 fantastic Patreon ideas came out tomorrow, like you're not going to fund all of them.
No.
It's unlikely because
Yeah.
you're only going to have so much that you can dedicate.
Well,
the
that's
same
the thing.
exists.
I mean,
with
I would love
Kickstarter.
to. I would love to donate to everything I thought was going to be great, but
Yeah.
I just literally don't have the money. I mean, I don't donate to any Patreons either. I mean, as much as I mean, I think like a lot of the people I know who are on Patreons have got like serious balls for doing it, and I think it's it's great for them when it works. But you are asking a lot of people. You're asking quite a commitment of people there. So.
It's
a subscription, and also a subscription model is a very different thing because it's a different sort of commitment that you're asking for people as well. And
I think it's also a bit more flexible as well. Like you could, subscription means that you can, if you're not happy with something that you received over 1 month, you stop. Like it's different with Kickstarter where you put the money up front and then you go, please make a good game.
Yeah,
don't fuck it up.
But the problem is with both models is that every person who gives money to these people, developers, whoever, they will have their own idea in their head of what they're paying for, and you're never going to please everyone. So.
Sure.
There's that thing of because they're paying for it early, they feel like they're going to be funding it, and therefore they feel like they're going to be able to have a say in whatever it is that gets delivered. You may not like what comes out at the end of it, but the difference is when you buy something in store and you don't like it, you haven't paid to make it. You haven't paid to allow it to exist.
You're gonna have things to. You're going to be able to look at reviews and various impressions before you make that choice. Yeah, I get it. I still like the model. You know what? 3 of my favourite games, I'm going to say instead of 2. 3 of my favourite games this year have come from crowdfunding, so good job. Kickstarter, you're all right sometimes. Thanks for making really good strategy games that probably wouldn't exist without it.
Speaking of...
The Banner Saga would not have got a publisher to back it in the same way.
It
couldn't work.
Do you remember that guy? I can't remember the exact details of it. This is probably going to be very vague, but there was one Kickstarter where... a guy, I think it was for a comic book, and the guy, instead of sending out the stuff that he owed through the Kickstarter, said that he was losing money and just started burning the stuff he was meant to send out. Started burning the books that he was supposed to send out to backers and said, I'm not sending out anymore, and just started setting it all alight.
This sounds like one of those examples where, how we talk about if you're going to crowdfund something, you need to trust the person making it, not just think about the product. Might be an example of not maybe...
But yeah, I really like the Banner Saga, and I did want to play Xenonauts, but it was at the time where I just finished XCOM, and I thought I can't keep.
Yeah, for me, I was about a year after that. Like I had.
I wonder how all those wallet clips are doing.
Yeah.
How many wallets? Like.
How many ways can you hold your money?
We've redesigned the wallet. It's this bit of solid aluminum that aluminum? What the fuck? Anyway.
Oh no!
Haven't you got you got a smartwatch on that you funded on something?
I didn't. No, I didn't fund it. I waited for it to come out and then I bought it. Again, I've never backed anything on Kickstarter. I'd rather pay the extra 30 quid for the final product. That way, I know it's out and I know it works.
That's fair enough. That's a completely justified approach. All right.
Same thing with Banner Saga as well.
Well, we're approaching the hour mark, so let's. Is there any other kind of standout moments we want to talk about before we wrap this up? Did you like E3, Jim? Was E3 good? One of my favourite moments of the year was like the conversation we had before we filmed the old Dar video at E3.
I don't remember that.
Just like I'm not sure. I think maybe the TAM video was a better example, but like I think you were maybe a little bit nervous about the idea of walking around in a vest.
Oh shit in my pants!
And
it's like, look like a cock.
And I knew you were, and I was like, you know what, it's a completely fair stance considering what you're about to do. But
if it helps, I'll take my trousers off.
I really need you to do this because we need to do a video.
Yeah.
So
that video was amazing.
I mean, Chris, I was like, Chris, I don't think I can do this. I really don't think I can.
I hit him across the face
and
at this
stage. Chris was basically like, right, fucking pull your socks up.
That probably is the best.
You ducked.
Come on now, sunshine. We're here to do a job. Let's get it done. And then we got it done.
Put on the vest.
So good.
Put on the vest.
I thought he was about to say, to compensate, Brett has took his trousers off and walked around in just his boxers, so that way you two are even.
We were in the press room when
using
yeah. So I mean,
everyone's just like, hang on,
what are they talking about?
What's going on?
Do you remember walking around like just between bits where we were filming stuff, and we're not even all that at this point. I'm just like,
just a man in a vest.
That wargaming party sounds good, whatever. I'm just talking generally walking down a corridor and you hear people walking past going, what the fuck is that guy wearing?
Oh, you can see it in the video. Some of the,
like,
I think Jesus. It was that corridor with walking towards the hall itself. They're just the people look at you as we're walking past. It's very rude. It's very rude. It's E3. It's full of people wearing stupid.
Although walking around as Tam McLeish though, and like this lassie came up to me and she was just like, "I love your bathrobe." Like, you think I'm mental?
Yeah. Did you have to get? Was it the Dragon Age thing that you stood on and tried flogging? Did you have to get permission?
No, it was Monster Hunter.
Hunter, did you have to get permission to get up on there?
Yes.
You did.
We asked,
and they said no.
We got permission, but I think only because Gordon wasn't around.
The problem.
Gordon was away having his lunch, and we were like, right, let's do it.
The problem wasn't. I think we either would have had an issue getting permission. It was like, well, the thing is that so it was a photo thing. Like people would get on it, hold the sword, and get a photo.
Right. We just need to tell them that we were filming,
and no one told the photographers what we were doing.
Right,
and like
just flashes going off.
We assumed that everyone knew, and then like I remember just turning around like at the end of it, and they were just like horrified.
Yeah,
like I think they probably have got some photos of you on there.
Absolutely love that video when I watched
3 for £1 on shite, and then I remember like Gordon saw the video afterwards, and I've just got this image of Gordon with like a fucking pasty in his hand, being like, "Those bastards!"
Gordon, by the way, is the
"Go off, my monster"
Capcom community manager.
He's the Capcom community manager. He's a very lovely man from Fife in Scotland.
Fife,
and
Fife's a weird name for a place, isn't it? I agree.
It is a shite house.
So yeah, that was a good moment.
Yeah,
E3 was a bit weird, but that was
really that was the first E3 I'd ever gone to, obviously, and there was loads of standout moments for me. Sitting with Burns, because I shared a hotel room with Burns. You all decided that because I admitted to being a snorer, and apparently Burns is a really bad snorer.
See, I'd never experienced, because me and Burns went away earlier in the year, and everyone said, you're not going to be able to sleep a wink, right? Because I went away with Burns and 2 of his friends, and everyone said, he snores terribly. Me and Burns, I slept in the same room we all slept in the same room, like set of beds. Burns didn't snore. His 2 friends snored so loud, and I thought, I've been duped here. I've been sold a lie. He said, look, I may snore a bit. I was like, no, he didn't snore. His other friends, the bed shook. But yeah, how bad was he in E3? At E3?
Fine.
See what I mean? See?
Well, we've got a recording of it from the year before, and it's like I don't know. It's like soaring like a real like thick log, and like that kind of like
the 2-man.
A long saw, and that kind of.
Yeah. Oh, but maybe my snoring and Burns' snoring just cancelled. Maybe the waveforms just cancelled each other.
Yeah.
But
I think that's how waveforms work.
One of my favorite moments from E3 was just sitting in the hotel. Me on my bed eating a bag of Cheetos.
Jesus, Jim.
Fucking Burns on his bed with a copy of GQ and a pair of sandals. And we were both watching a fucking documentary about O.J. Simpson, kicking back with our Mountain Dews and going like, this is the fucking life, innit, Burns? Yeah, mate.
Jesus.
That was brilliant.
That
almost being killed by a madman when we went out for McDonald's. That was good as well.
What?
Me, Burns and Brett went out for McDonald's.
Yeah.
Came back to the hotel and there's this fucking crazy guy with a gun.
Los Angeles is a really, really fantastic.
You never told this story.
Oh, no, he was shouting military slogans at people.
Honestly, LA is an amazing example of what happens without properly funded.
Yeah, because I was in LA.
Care.
I was in LA this year as well. And
it's unbelievable.
It's terrifying. It really is a terrifying place, LA. Like you say, the contrast is just bonkers.
Like if you know any British people who are against the NHS or whatever, against universal healthcare, send them to a shit part of LA for a week and see how great it is when you walk around the streets at night and there's these fucking mental people who should be in care.
Yeah, exactly.
Roaming the streets, pointing guns at people.
Do you know what like Brett was saying though, is how quick it changes. Like you could be in so-called nice part of LA and then suddenly you'll turn a corner and you can feel it. You can feel the fact that hang on a minute. Something's wrong. You
can totally feel that people looking at you thinking they are not supposed to be here, and I think they know it.
And like you say, there are people who need help, and then you just think, "Oh, this is America."
Yeah.
You know,
that was a bit of an eye opener. It really was an eye opener.
Yeah.
I loved going to LA, and I'm absolutely glad I've done it and everything. But fuck me, it was an education.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've had a really good year, Brett.
Me too. It's like I say, it's been a strange one, and I think it's maybe been overshadowed by some like awful things going on.
Yeah, Ubisoft kind of fucked it, didn't they?
A combination of a poor Assassin's Creed Unity release and death threats to women, speaking about women's issues in games.
Yeah,
it's been, it's been all right. But apart from those awful things, I
still got your Christmas jumper on.
There's been some nice moments here and there.
Overall, really like
video
2014.
games are still really good, and I like them a lot. And I don't think any of the really negative people from VideoGamer are in this room right now, so we can say that without
having
the tone of the second part
is going to be drastically
is going to be very different.
Yeah. So I think
you won't be able to talk about Chaos Reborn in the second part.
Oh no, I really enjoyed doing that. We should have a Chaos Reborn podcast.
You'll have Burns sitting over there with his scarf around his face again. And my favourite bit of that Toy Box Turbos video is when Burns, a man who's nearly 30, saying out loud, "I'm sulking," just in case we hadn't noticed.
There was a period of silence when we was all playing it, and then he just went, "This is penis," like just a long silence, and then just penis out loud. He's like, like you say, nearly 30.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap this one up now. I think all being well, next week's podcast, which we're also going to record today, we'll have some other people from VideoGamer in, and it will be going up on Christmas Eve. So, as you're getting excited for Christmas Day,
alongside some special video content.
Christmas content. Say it right,
Christmas
Jim.
content.
We've said content a lot in this podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
Started counting halfway through.
Probably should be clicking your fingers when you say content.
Yeah, it's not a great word, is it? But thanks for joining us, guys. It's been good. It's been a nice way to wrap up the year. And if you... Hopefully we'll get it up for next week, and there'll be one then. And then after that, I think we've got a week off the podcast, because we're not back until...
Well, nobody's around to do it, are they?
Yeah, the following week. So,
unless it's just you coming into the office on your own, pissed.
Just on his phone.
Oh, it's a fucking podcast.
Still.
With a big tub of melted ice cream on the desk that you then knock
really
over.
Same one, though. Same tub.
Yeah, same one.
Tastes good, melted.
Listen, all right. We've had a very nice, positive podcast. Don't end it with this nonsense here.
Okay, now.
Okay, so, have a nice Christmas.
Yeah, have a nice Christmas, guys.
Yeah, have a great one.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.